text and calls and other topics we'll bring up.
Yeah, and I don't know if we ever mentioned it or not, but there was a couple weeks ago where Sankey was on SEC Nation and he was talking about Texas and Oklahoma. It was a couple weekends ago, and he was mentioning 2025. He's saying contractually, there were things that have to work through. So everybody's sticking with that type of a date, all with the knowledge that, it could be a year or two before that. And a lot of it's the timeline of when the Big 12 accept these schools and when they get involved. So, yeah, there's still a little bit to work out there. But I think we do know for sure that any thoughts, again, that this was going to be the last ride of the Big 12 as we know it, that appears to be far off from being the case. And I'm glad for that. I think this year, if everybody had kept that mentality, was going to be super hostile, which would have been fun. But now it'll just be hostile for at least a couple more years, which will be a lot of fun.
I just on a level of, if I were an athletic director, and I'm sure this opinion is pretty static across all 10 of them and I guess what would be 12 in a couple of years. No one wants to make schedules for 2 years that include Texas and Oklahoma and then have to change them all again. I mean, we've seen that scheduling is not as hard as it was made out to be, but at the same time, if you don't have to make it harder than it is, I would think that 2023 makes a lot of sense, and just that you can start working on the schedules for then, and once you get that reasonable agreement made with Texas and Oklahoma, you can move on, because 2 years of having those other 4 schools plus Texas and Oklahoma would be kind of a nightmare to schedule and then move on from.
I think Texas has schedules, and there's a couple of games that you might be moving into a conference of which you have scheduled. For example, Texas and Alabama, I think they start a series even, in fact, next year. And so let's say that the conference came together. They would figure that out. You would kind of morph into whatever that is with the schedule. It wouldn't always be easy, but that would be something that would happen.
I mean, for example, they play Arkansas this year, so that would have just been slid into a conference game. They play Alabama in the next 2 years. That just slides into a conference game, so that's how it could potentially.
Do they have an SEC team in 24?
I don't know. Get on the microphone.
I don't know why I'm leaning over. They have Michigan in 24.
They got Georgia in 28 and 29, Florida in 30 and 31.
Those will be conference games, yeah. Okay.